Biden's last resort. Desperation. Desperation. That's the theme of the day in the Biden Democratic Party. They see they're in a lot of trouble. They see things look pretty dark in the future, and they see their chances of even having a hope, a prayer, a voice in Congress for the next couple of years slipping away. Joe Biden knows something very specific about himself here. He's seeing his own personal legacy get destroyed. If this election goes poorly, he's in serious trouble to even be allowed by his own party to run as president of the United States in 2024. If this is a total red wave, it's going to be a problem. So last night, he comes out and goes back to the good old hits. Let's blame Republicans for everything. Let's tell you how they're destroying democracy. Let's tell you how dangerous they are, blah, 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 blah. This is all they have. They can't run on the election. They can't run on the economy. They can't run on inflation. They can't run on Afghanistan. They can't run on Ukraine. They can't run on the border. They can't run on crime. They can't run on any of these things that actually matter to you. They have to come up with all these other things and just hope and pray that they will catch your attention for a little bit. Here is Joe Biden. Now, you think about this. They're in a desperate state. They know they're in trouble. They have an attack at Nancy Pelosi's house. Normally, when the congressional leader from your party has an attack at their house, this would make you sad and angry. The Democrats, though, saw it as an opportunity, and that's why Biden was out there pitching the January 6 ties to Nancy Pelosi that no one else seems to be able to find, but he sees them in his mind, I think.
After the assailant entered the home asking, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" Those are the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January the 6th.
Oh, wow, powerful.
When they broke windows. Kicked in the doors. Brutally attacked law enforcement. Roamed the corridors, hunting for officials. And erected gallows to hang the former Vice President, Mike Pence.
Also, when Nancy Pelosi had lunch delivered, they said, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" So let's throw them in prison as well. As we've covered, the person seems to be a completely crazy person. This does not seem to be a political attack by any means, but that's what they're going to go with. Even though this guy was like a nudist, a protester who made hemp bracelets, we're still going to go ahead and accuse him of being right-wing, I guess. We're just going to straight out go for it at this point. He was also talking about how the left and the right can come together because, as you know, Joe Biden has not had a divisive presidency whatsoever.
We must, with an overwhelming voice, stand against political violence and voter intimidation, period. Stand up and speak against it.
Stand up.
We don't settle our differences in America with a riot, a mob, or a bullet, or a hammer. We settle them peaceably at the battle box.
At the babble box. We settle them peacefully at the babble box. I'm sorry. Does anyone else remember 2020? Do you remember this period where like every major city in America was on fire? But you guys don't say. I want to make sure I understand. There's nobody settling anything with a mob or violence or by breaking windows. Did I imagine that? Was it a long dream? I'm sorry. I think people are going to remember that. I don't think you can memory hold that for them. Of course, this was a theme of the speech. He wants to make it seem like the right is the only one that is ever involved in political violence. Of course, we all understand that political violence is always wrong, no matter what side it occurs on. No one's standing up for it, except the left. When the left does it, they all ignore it and say everything's fine. These are mostly peaceful protests. But this is a situation here where he's trying to give you this pitch that, okay, look, I'm the good guy here. Those guys over there, they're bad. You shouldn't vote for them. Don't worry about how much your bread costs. Don't worry about how much your milk costs. Don't worry about how much your gas costs. Instead, I'm going to try to scare you. I want you to be fearful of those R's after people's names. Watch.
This institution, this intimidation, this violence against Democrats, Republicans, and nonpartisan officials just doing their jobs. Are the consequence of lies told for power and profit, lies of conspiracy and malice, lies repeated over and over to generate a cycle of anger, hate, vitriol, and even violence.
Oh, my goodness.
In this moment, we have to confront those lies with the truth.
No, you don't.
The very future of our nation depends on it. My fellow Americans, we're facing a defining moment, an inflection point. We must, with one overwhelming, unified voice, speak as a country and say there's no place for voter intimidation or political violence in America, whether it's directed at Democrats or Republicans. No place, period. No place ever.
It would be a little more effective if, when it occurred on the other side, you actually spoke up about it. Nobody believes Joe Biden when he says this stuff. And, here's the situation. You got a country that you're never going to have everybody stand up and speak in unison in one way or the other. It's a little suspicious, I have to admit, when the only way that people can please you with this one voice they may have is to vote for you. It's like, isn't it a little transparent that the only way we can heal our wounds and save our democracy is to vote for Democrats? Like, there's no other solution. We always have to stand up and just vote for you guys. Every single time there's a problem, that's always the solution. Vote for us. Give us more power. Let us spend more of your money. Let us do more things to you. That's always the solution. Do people really fall for this crap anymore? I mean, I understand the desperation of Biden. This is his last resort. He's got nowhere else to go. So maybe in his mind, look, I just throw all this stuff against the wall. They gave away another $13 billion yesterday to people who's trying to, quote unquote, help with their energy bills. Well, how about helping with the energy bills by actually using our national resources? You don't need to hand out money to do that. Just do your job. In fact, don't even do your job. Let others do their jobs. That's all we need. But there's a desperation here. They'll do anything to convince you to vote for them. Why? They're going to try to save a few districts. They're going to try to save a few states. These borderline states, they're hoping to buy you off, and then they'll go back to doing the same thing they've done over the past couple of years. Do not be fooled. There's no change here. This is what they will continue to do. Now, they also have been trying this, and this is an interesting tactic, because they've been trying this pitch, basically. You should vote for how you feel about abortion. You should vote for how you feel about democracy. These are not issues that hit people every day. No one liked what happened on January 6th. There are about half the people in the country who do care about abortion rights and don't think they're more on the pro-choice sort of line of things. But of course, you have to put that in perspective. About half, and this is going to shock a lot of people, dudes can't get pregnant. So, to them, it's really sort of this side issue. It's not going to be important to a lot of guys. I'll also tell you that half the country doesn't think abortion is a human right. So you're wiping that out. Now you're down to, 25% of the population. Now you knock out really a lot of these blue states. Why? Well, the blue state abortion laws aren't changing. They're going to stay exactly the same. So I guess now you just got to find activists in these red states to try to turn this over. I mean, you're talking to a very small group of people. Of course, a lot of people there don't even the women that are left in these red states, they may not want to get abortions. They may not be interested in such things. So you're talking to a very small minority. Everybody buys gas. Everybody has to pay for heating. Everybody wants to eat bread, except for you. I know you gluten-free people out there. I don't want to insult you, but most people want to buy bread. Some people want to buy eggs. Some people want to buy gasoline and milk and all these things. And they see the price going up. They see their rent going up. They see the cost of their health care going up. They see all this happening. It hits them every single day. So running a campaign based on quote-unquote democracy, which of course just means vote for Democrats, is not going to be nearly as effective in an election like this. But they're trying to make the pitch. Democracy is on the ballot.
We must, in this moment, dig deep within ourselves and recognize that we can't take democracy for granted any longer.
Right.
With democracy on the ballot, we have to remember these first principles.
Oh, because you're so principled.
Democracy means the rule of the people. Not the rule of monarchs or the moneyed, but the rule of the people. Autocracy is the opposite of democracy. It means the rule of one person, one interest, one ideology, one party.
Ruling of one party. What an interesting concept. What would that be like? Well, you mean like if there was a Democratic president, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic House? Something like that? Would that be ruling of one party? Your solution to this problem that you're illustrating is to make the one-party rule in this country stronger. In fact, if you vote for Republicans, you're sending a message that you don't care about democracy. It's weird how all of this works, doesn't it? And I will say, if you really cared about these mega MAGA candidates out there, maybe you shouldn't have supported them in all the primaries. You know, they did this through the Republican Party like crazy. There'd be a moderate candidate going up against maybe a MAGA candidate, maybe someone who was complaining about the 2020 election. And the Democrats would pour money into the race supporting the person who opposed the 2020 election results. Why? They'd be easier to beat. If a group of people actually believe democracy is on the line, they wouldn't be acting like this. They wouldn't be supporting the pro-MAGA candidates. They did this because they only care about their power. They don't care about you. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's do democracy is under attack.
You know, American democracy is under attack because
say the whole word of democracy.
President of the United States refuses to accept the results of the 2020 election. He refuses to accept the will of the people. He refuses to accept the fact that he lost. He has abused his power and put the loyalty to himself before loyalty to the Constitution. And he's made a big lie an article of faith in the MAGA Republican Party.
First of all, democracy. D-ma-cra-cy. 4 syllables. Not democracy. Not democracy. Not democracy. Say the whole word. Just get through it. It's not that long. It's 4 syllables. Just do the whole thing. Secondly, this pitch has been going on for years and years and years and years. Does he really think they're winning anybody over with this stuff? I mean, they kept going with it. Now they came up because they started saying, oh, it's Republicans. And then it was bad Republicans and Trump Republicans. And then it was MAGA Republicans. And then it was mega MAGA Republicans. And now I think it's extreme MAGA Republicans. Watch.
Yet now, extreme MAGA Republicans aim to question not only the legitimacy of past elections, but elections being held now and into the future.
Oh, my. You would never do that.
The extreme MAGA element of the Republican Party, which is a minority of that party, as I said earlier, but is this driving force, is trying to succeed where they failed in 2020.
Wait.
To suppress the right of voters and subvert the electoral system itself.
Wait, aren't you doing...
That means denying your right to vote and deciding whether your vote even counts.
Isn't this just what
Instead of waiting until an election is over, they're starting well before it. They're starting now.
One of the big complaints about Donald Trump was he said he thought the election might be stolen before the election even happened. That was a big thing they brought up in the January 6th commissions. They complained about it constantly. Are you noticing something here? This is what the Democrats are doing now. They're telling you if they lose, the election's going to be stolen. They're doing the exact same thing they got mad at Donald Trump for doing. They're saying that if the Republicans get power in 2024, that election will be stolen. You shouldn't have any hope in our election process if you elect these dastardly Republicans. It's the same exact thing they were complaining about Donald Trump doing. They're just doing it as well and acting like they have some sort of virtue while doing it. Of course, they're very certain. They don't know about any election in the future because they might lose those. But since they won the election in 2020, they can be sure that that one was absolutely perfect.
The great irony about the 220 election is that it's the most attacked election in our history. And yet, there's no election in our history that we can be more certain of its results. Every legal challenge that could have been brought was brought.
I comment on that, but I don't know what the 220 election was. I'm not a historian. I don't know what election happened in 220. So it's been a long time, but I'm glad. I mean, Joe Biden was probably alive then in the year 220, so who knows? He was warning about the election results, and there is some truth to what he's about to say here. I mean, I'll give you, it's a grain, but I'll explain it here in a second. Here's Biden talking about election night.
We know that more and more ballots are cast in early voting or by mail in America. We know that many states don't start counting those ballots until after the polls close on November 8th. That means in some cases we won't know the winner of the election for a few days after the election.
What?
It takes time to count all legitimate ballots in a legal and orderly manner. It's always been important for citizens in democracy to be informed and engaged. Now it's important for citizens to be patient as well. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah. Okay. Two things here. Number one, in some ways he's right. These election results are not going to be fully known. If these states are close, some of them are going to take a few days. It's true. A lot of this has to do with problems with state law. For example, Pennsylvania is one of these states. They have not fixed this since 2020. They get all these ballots that come in early. They can't tabulate them until polls close on election night. Does that make any sense? They don't have to tell anybody, but they should be tabulating the votes so they can be released right as polls close, so we know what the hell is going on in these states. Instead, they won't even start counting them until the other day of votes are counted. Arizona last time was the reverse of that. They did the opposite. So some states like Arizona are going to look like Trump is way behind and then comes back. In Pennsylvania, it's going to look like the Republicans are way ahead, and then the Democrats are going to come back. It's a crappy system. The year's 2022. I don't know why we can't fix this. We should be able to get results on election day, but I will tell you that's not going to happen if these races are close. Finally, Biden wanted to make sure you know that there's lots of election deniers on the ballot, and don't you elect them.
It's estimated that there are more than 300 election deniers on the ballot all across America. This year.
Okay. Thank you for that.
We can't ignore the impact this is having on our country.
Yeah, right.
It's damaging, it's corrosive, and it's destructive.
And as soon as the Democrats lose one of these elections, they will start saying it was stolen, and they will be on the opposite side of this, and they will act like they never said any of these things. That is what is going to happen.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.